Black Friday is this week, so I know a lot of people are really excited to get out there and try to get the best deals on plugins. So in this video, I'm going to be your spirit guide to walk you through some of the best deals that I've found out there, give you my personal suggestions on what I think actually might be a good buy and which things might be just overhyped. And add a little bit more value here, I'm even going to try to do some demonstrations with some of the plugins that I really like to give you an example of what it could sound like in your session. And if you're just looking for a general guide of things that I recommend for a home studio, I actually have a home studio gear guide that you can download in the description completely for free. So first up, Waves has their Black Friday sale. Love them or hate them, they've put out some pretty awesome products recently. Their big deal is 2 plugins for $49. It's good, but it's not like super amazing. They have a discount on their annual plan. I don't like subscriptions, so that's not for me. Definitely go and check out their free plugin. You only have a few more days to sign up. I have a link to the sign-up sheet in the description as well. This is usually the time of the year when I do my Waves update plan because it's 25% off. In terms of what you should be looking at if you wanted to jump in on this like 2 for $50 deal, this L4 actually sounds pretty good. They definitely are borrowing a lot from FabFilter Pro L. Here they have like modern and aggressive and all that. They even have a mode to change the style so it looks more like FabFilter, which is kind of crazy, right? Another one that I'm finding I like a lot is this Curves AQ. Now, I don't like it for the reason that Waves is promoting it. They're saying like, oh, it's totally autonomous. You hit this learn button, it figures out what source it is, and then it gives you some suggested presets, which is really cool. But what I've been using it for is a second opinion on a guitar bus or a second opinion on what my mastering chain should sound like. So I could put this in the middle of my chain, have it make some suggestions on tonal balance for EQ, and flip back to where I was before. And if it sounds more exciting, sounds more balanced, then I'll use some of those suggestions to help make my song a little bit better. Just for my own curiosity, I want to see what their samples sound like. Master bus with learn. Let's start without. So that adds a nice width to it. I mean, it sounds pretty awesome to me when it's on. Let's bypass this one. Does a nice job tightening everything up on that example as well. And that's kind of what I find when I'm using it on my master bus. Personally, I don't like their new triggering plugin. They say it's done right. I disagree. There's a lot of cool features. It's almost done right, but the accuracy of the sample placement, I think, is where it suffers. So I wouldn't recommend that one. Silk is pretty cool if you have harsh vocals and you don't want to pay $200 for Soothe. Not as good as Soothe in my opinion, but it does a nice job, especially for $30. You can't really beat that. So I am using Waves Silk on this vocal. Let me just show you what that's doing without it. So there's some hard S's there. Out your basement window and it's basement window and it's basement window and it's. So it's just pulling away some of the harshness out of the vocal. Let me dial it in a little bit more. Truth, you are all in my head. This band helps to clean up some of the boominess or chestiness of the voice, but I find that I like a little bit of that there. So I'm often bypassing it, but depending on the sound you're going for, you might like that. Basement window and it's. Oh, here's Sync VX. Oh, they want $100 for this? You might as well just go for revoice. So speaking of that, let's hop over to Synchroarts because those guys also have a pretty good Black Friday special going. So here are their current Black Friday specials. I think these go through literally Black Friday, maybe through Cyber Monday. But don't wait. If you do lots of vocal stacks, this is like the industry standard software here. I've used this for probably 10 or 15 years, honestly. It's saved me hundreds, if not thousands of hours of editing. It's really that good. I think the new Vocalign Pro also includes tuning. Yeah, so it'll match the pitch and the timing. And they also have this new smart pitch feature, which I believe allows you to also keep relative harmonies in the right key, if that makes sense. So if you have like something that's an octave lower or higher, the smart pitch won't try to tune it up to the same octave as your reference. It'll keep it an octave lower. It knows that that's supposed to be a harmony, basically. But this is like the same price as Sync VX. And also, you can save an extra 50% if you happen to have like any of their previous versions of stuff. Let me show you how some of the products by Synchroarts work and how you can use them to very quickly speed up the editing of your vocal tracks. So here I have these two vocals that I need to tighten, okay, both in terms of timing and the pitch. This is what they sound like.
Wake up feeling empty from last night, you threw your feelings away.
So there's a few spots, right, where the timing's off, the pitch isn't perfect, but check this out. All we have to do is select both these tracks. Then we're going to go to Audio, Extensions in Cubase, and we're just going to select an instance of Vocalign Pro. Okay, so it pulls it into our session. This is using ARA technology. It basically can communicate directly with the DAW. So now we have to tell it which one is the guide track and which is the double. So the guide is going to be the good version that we want to match the timing and the pitch of. So we can just click that. We're going to click capture. We're going to go down here to the double, and then we're going to set that to the dub. Okay, so capture, it brings it in. It already did everything for us. It's crazy. It already processed everything. Now what we can do is go and adjust how tight and how tuned we want the two tracks to be. And I want to make sure that we're matching pitch as well. So let's see how it did. I'm just going to hit play, and we're going to check the before and after.
Wake up feeling empty from last night, you threw your feelings away.
So now let's just do the timing adjustment.
Wake up feeling empty from last night, you threw your feelings away.
Wow, that's amazing. It fixed this gap here. All right, so how about the pitch?
Wake up feeling empty from last night, you threw your feelings away.
That is so tight. Not everybody's going to have built-in pitch correcting software. So Synchroarts also has a deal on that. And I actually really like their pitch correction. It's called Repitch. Normally it's $150, but Black Friday, they have both the Repitch software and the Vocalign Pro for $150, which is pretty awesome. If you want to take your vocal editing seriously, this is like everything you would need. So let's just quickly tune this section of vocal. You just go select your segment you want, audio extensions, and we go Repitch. Okay, it's automatically detecting that segment, and it's mapped out the pitch for us already. So I'm just going to select snap notes to scale so I can double click on it and it'll jump to the nearest semitone. You can also adjust the level of each piece, okay? Anything that's green is actually a sibilant sound or a consonant sound. These are called unvoiced components. I talk about this a lot in my course, but this allows you to lower the sounds of S's within Repitch itself so that you don't have to rely on a plugin to do it. You can just manually do it and then dial in the exact amount of brightness you want in your vocal. So that's pretty cool. We got a bunch of tools down here. This allows us to adjust the correction of this blob to the nearest semitone. Okay, so that one's like dead on, so it's not really doing much. But this also allows us to adjust the drift. That's basically going to say how much of the note is drifting outside of the blob here. So if we want to correct for drift, it's going to help pull, some of that vocal pitch back into where we have this centered. Okay, so it just makes the center of the note a little bit more tight to the melody. If you want to be a little bit sloppier and let it drift more, you can actually adjust it to be a little bit more flowy by putting the drift in the other direction. If we use our selector tool here, we can just double click on stuff and it's going to snap to the nearest note. You can also then click and drag on it and you hear in real time what the pitch is. So that's a little too high. So we can just very quickly tune our vocals. You can see how fast this goes, right? Just drag it so that it's close to the nearest semitone, and we just double click and it snaps it in. There we go. We could draw in our own pitch. So if you're like, I wish it didn't wiggle so much or there wasn't so much vibrato, we can just draw a straight line here. The scissors are a split tool, so this allows us to maintain some of the glide into notes. So like right here, we can just click and keep that as natural as possible. And then that allows us to more tightly tune this segment. Also, they have a handle here that allows you to tighten up and reduce the vibrato. So we can just click this little square, pull it down, and then it makes this a much more flat sounding notes. This is going to get more into that like robotic, auto-tuney kind of sound.
Through your feelings away.
They have this additional tool, which is called the Shaper tool. This thing's pretty awesome. It allows you to really surgically go in and adjust kind of the very fine details of the waveform in a way that's more natural. So it's going to keep some of that natural movement of the vocal, but you basically just pick two spots and then you can adjust in between everything. So if we don't like how this goes up and down, what we can do is just click between those two, and then we can literally just pull that little peak down flat that way. Pretty cool software. Check that one out. Bogren Digital's having a killer Black Friday sale, 50% off, but I saw they had some stuff here that was even better than that. So their complete plugin bundles, 300. So what are some of my favorites from these guys? Their drums always sound killer. The 800 is really, really good. I haven't messed with any of the Trivium stuff. The IRDX Core is pretty cool. Not a bad choice. This is kind of like the special sauce if you have an amp sim. It just adds a little bit of like air and sheen to it, and then makes the guitars feel a little bit more alive in the mix, in my experience. These 5150 models all sound really, really good. The BDH3 sounds awesome as like a lead amp sim. And then I really, really like the 6606 for just like really gnarly, heavy guitar tones. Prim drums sound amazing if you're going for a more natural sounding drum kit, but still sounds super punchy and well processed. This has everything you need in it. It has a bunch of plugins. They have an 1176 built into it. They have some distortion stuff, envelope shaping, EQs. They even let you add in your own one-shots if you want to add that. They have grooves. I mean, it's very well done. And this Rev C amp knob is pretty killer. I love the Jens Bogren signature drum samples. They sound really, really good. These end up on like everything I mix. They're just ready to go. So if you've been waiting, this is the time to pick up some of this stuff. Again, I have links to my favorites in the description. Let me show you what that 5150 sounds like that they have as well. So this is the pedal engaged. Right? It's so awesome. Telling you, $25 you can get that. It's crazy. If it doesn't sound good, then you're screwing something up. My guys at Soundtoys are crushing it this year. 60% off upgrades. 60% off Soundtoys 5. And if you are a student, you can actually get it for 60% off the academic price. So you could get Soundtoys 5 for $119. That is insane. If you're just going to look for, maybe one or two plugins, my favorites are Decapitator's awesome. I use a lot of Little Altar Boy in my vocal processing. It adds a really cool lo-fi kind of fattening effect if you just set the pitch to an octave below. But I love the Microshift plugin. This is like always on my vocals. Super Plate is really, really cool if you need a plate style reverb. And Devil Lock is really cool for really aggressive, maybe drum sounds if you have room drums. So here's a fun one. This one is called Sound Gym. And this is a platform and community where you can go and do ear training for mixing music. So like you can pick the skills you want to get better at. So if you're bad at identifying frequencies or what different equalization's doing, if you want to be able to hear compression better, you can detect gain changes, maybe recognize distortion. That's a cool one. So you can really hear what goes on with subfrequencies when you start distorting them. And then you build a profile and it gives you a bunch of free games to play. Where's the bald guy in the lab coat? So once you make a free account, you can start doing some ear training, which is really awesome. So this is one where you identify frequencies that are boosted. 300 hertz. Oh yeah. That's 500 hertz, baby. That muddiness is, I want to say it's like 120. So you can train your ears this way, and it's totally free. But then if you want, you can actually do a Black Friday special here with like a yearly subscription that allows you to keep going deeper and deeper and then make things harder and harder for you so you can really train your ears. So this is the early Black Friday special. I'm not exactly sure what the official Black Friday special is. So definitely go and check this out. And if this is something that you want to take seriously, I recommend signing up for a year or maybe even lifetime. But I feel like if you actually commit to a year, you really will learn how to train your ears and get really, really good. Shameless plug. All of my courses are 50% off, including my new Clarity Delay plugin. So just really quickly, this home mastering for rock and metal course is really, really awesome, but it teaches you so much stuff that I just haven't found in any courses. That's why I made the course. So there's over 30 videos. The important thing is it's going to teach you my 6-step listening framework for how to dial in hard-hitting competitive masters. The key here is that is a system, so you can use that to get the similar result no matter what type of music you're mastering. The other cool thing that I have in here is I teach you how to set up your studio so that you can find the best listening position and then how to arrange your speakers and dial everything in so that you start off on the right foot. A lot of times people just put speakers arbitrarily in a room and then they try to maybe put a bunch of foam and stuff on the wall. We go over all that, the best placement for the right stereo image, which is something that's really, really hard to fix after the fact. Of course, I have my 30-day money-back guarantee. People have done this a bunch. I've never gotten bad feedback on this. So just take a look. If you're interested in releasing music or you want to make sure that whatever songs you're going to be putting out to the world are as loud as possible, sound as big as they can, and are competitive. So you can take a look at all the different modules. We cover all the different tools. And then I give you several different start to finish demonstrations where we have a song and then we start from nothing and go all the way till it's done. So I wanted to give you a few different options here because not all songs sound the same, and so you might have to take different approaches. So by covering 3 different genres, we really get a good idea of how to master rock and metal music. And if you are recording stuff in your own studio and you're trying to self-release music, one of the biggest mistakes that I see all the time is really poor editing when you record stuff yourself. So I made this series of mini courses called Edit Like a Pro that goes over each different component basically of a song. You have vocals, drums, guitar, and bass. And it's going to teach you all of my tricks to making a flawless performance without hearing basically any artifacts. Okay, there's some cool things I've developed here that I've never seen on any type of course on editing ever. And it's really going to make the music that you're working on go from potentially sounding amateur to sounding super polished. Not over polished, not robotic. There's a whole section here that talks about how to do it so that you're maximizing the feeling of the takes. Talk about the right crossfading to use so that you don't hear clicks or pops. We talk about what the anatomy of a waveform looks like for guitars, drums, vocals. So you literally look at a vocal waveform and know where the S's are. Guitars and bass, we do the same thing. We show you where the pick attack lies in guitar and bass, where the actual tonal note is, and whether to align to the beginning of the transient or to the tonal part. These are all details that are going to add up and make your music sound amazing. So definitely go and check that out. Again, this is 50% off, so you could get all 3 of these for about $60. And again, it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee because I know it's going to change the way that you're making music. And Clarity Delay is 50% off. I actually can't believe I did this. I wasn't intending on making it this discounted, but here we are. It's not going to ever be discounted this much ever again. So if you saw any of my previous videos of when I'm using this in my sessions, you understand how cool it is. It is something totally unique. It has 3 different channels built in. The delays are blended with a reverb in a hybrid manner so that you get this totally unique type of sound. It's got built-in ducking, gating, which is something totally new. And I also have a forgetful gate mode, which keeps any anharmonic content from being pulled back in on really long repeats. It's kind of a strange concept, but once you start playing with it and you know what it's doing and you can hear how it cleans up your mix, it's incredible. There's also a bunch of intelligent processing that's built into this thing. We can change the routing of the delays so that they can feed into each other, or they can be 3 separate delays. You have focus and soften. These are intelligent processors that underneath the hood are going to scoop out any of the buildup of mud and then also remove harshness, okay? Because there's nothing worse than a splatty delay because you might have a sibilant vocal. You have an EQ pre and post. You have this random feature. This thing is awesome. There was so much effort going into this to make it really, really sound killer right out of the box. I didn't want my first plugin to sound like junk. Okay, it took 3 years. Okay, and I've given this to a ton of big producers. Everybody is raving about this, saying it's their new go-to delay and reverb. Check it out. I think it speaks for itself, and 50% off right now. Let's just see how powerful Clarity Delay is on some vocals.
But I don't know what to do with you. Don't know how to spill the truth. You are all in my...
So all of that depth, layering, space is just in Clarity Delay.
Fighting between love and war.
There's 3 different delays going on. Quarter note here, analog style, with some of the space enabled and ducking. This channel is 16 note ping pong. That kind of gets the delay going left and right. And then it throws the reverb all over the place by adding a little bit of this space and room to make the vocal just have this like huge presence. We got a little bit ducking to clean it up a little bit. And then finally, we have a 16th note dotted delay, and that's going to add a little bit of like a slap effect. And then we have the focus and soften up to clean up any harshness and mud that comes from that. It's awesome. This THD now has a lot of analog vibe. This is literally an AIML model of a tape machine, a Sony tape machine. So that's really cool to have that. So it's everything you need. You can even reroute the delays. So the possibilities are endless with this plugin. I've also carved out some harshness that I heard around 2 and 4K in the vocal. And because this is set up as a pre-EQ, that means it's not affecting the vocal tone at all. It's literally just the delay and reverb sound EQ'd out. The vocal, when it's this lush, never feels like it's being pushed back in the mix. It stays forward. And that is what makes Clarity Delay so much different than every other delay and reverb.
Fighting between love and war.
The repeats are delicate and they're not hard. Oh my God. Clarity Delay is the best. This is just kind of random. I just found this here, but it looks like Home Depot's got some like Black Friday deals on acoustic panels. Do not buy this. This is not what you want on your walls. This is not going to absorb any frequencies. If anything, it's just going to reduce some flutter echo, which might be somewhat helpful if you have it on the sides just to kind of help with your stereo image a little bit, but it's not going to do anything for fixing the tone of your room. It's going to be really bad for that. So instead, you're going to want to invest in something a little bit more substantial, trying to find some good deals on some good acoustic panels for you guys, but I'm not really seeing too much. You definitely want it to be at least 4 inches thick, if not 6 inches thick of something like rock wool or mineral wool. Let's see if they have any panels on sale. Offered in 1 and 2 inch thick. Don't get 2 inch thick. It's a waste of money. You definitely need it to be 4 to 6 inches thick. But when you have panels that are 4 and 6 inches thick, what you're really getting is a broad band absorber. So you're attenuating frequencies pretty evenly across the entire frequency range, including some of those bass frequencies. And that's how you actually control your room and get it to sound good. That's why I say 4 inches minimum. And if you can, have it an inch or 2 off the wall, and that'll actually help improve the low end absorption as well. Yes, 6 inches is ideal, and 4x2 is pretty common. What's the cost? Tell me what the cost is. How much is it? $150. It's not terrible, but I'm worried about how much shipping would cost. $45. Yeah, this is not the best way to go about it. I made all mine myself. So I think they showed that you could just get the rock wool itself. So I wouldn't go with the mineral wool 80. 60 is going to be good enough. So that way you're getting basically 2 6-inch panels out of each one of these. Get some wood to put it in a frame. Wrap it in canvas, make sure it's fireproof so it doesn't burn your house down. But other than that, these are sound panels, and it's significantly more affordable than if you were just to buy them prefabricated. Yeah, you might have better chance looking at like a contractor supply store. So since we're talking about home acoustics and all that, you also should check out Synchroarts. These guys have a really good Black Friday special going on. It's 50% off. Something I do recommend heavily is this Sound ID reference for speakers and headphones. And this comes with a measurement microphone, which you need to calibrate your room. room EQ and tuning of your room is so important. I went years and years thinking, oh, it doesn't matter because my room's not treated professionally. It's never going to sound good. It makes a world of a difference in terms of translation. I think Sonarworks is one of the easiest to use. It's pretty much foolproof. They give you the microphone, you move it around your room, and you're done. It also comes with headphone correction. If you have a pair of headphones, you can add them here. So I have Sennheiser HD650s, and you can set up a flat calibration curve. So you can come in here and it will tune your headphones to make them sonically as flat as possible. I personally don't love the sound of a totally flat headphone. I actually like it to have a little bit of the low end raised. It makes it more exciting to me. And then I also felt like this target was a little bit dark compared to how I mix on my studio monitors here. So I raised the top end a little bit. So it allows you to custom dial in different targets. Also, I think in Sound ID reference, you can also use this as a translation checker. So you can click on this thing, and then they give you a bunch of different environments to check your mixes on when you're mixing. So this is kind of like that whole Slate VSX thing where you can go in and change your room. This is going to simulate and transform your headphones into like Apple AirPods, some other in-ears, what it sounds like on a MacBook, Air laptop, on a smartphone. So they have different targets that they've identified for those, and it just gives you a second opinion on what it sounds like. The one that I think sounds the most usable to me is actually this mix cube. I actually have one of those speakers in my studio that I use to reference when I'm mixing on my mains, and then I want to check vocals in the mid-range. I'll switch to this little guy, and this just helps. If I hear any harshness here, I'll go and carve it out, and then I'll flip back to my big speakers. Okay, you can do the exact same process here digitally. So you could switch between your flat headphone correction target here, and then also double check on a simulated mix cube. Something else that they have, which I'll maybe have to do a full video on, they have this new thing that they just came out with called virtual monitoring, but it's the pro version, okay? So if you go and buy, let me see if you can buy this now. All right, looks like you can buy it. Sonarworks actually sent me a copy before you could buy it, and it comes with, I just want to make sure you can get it. Yeah, it comes with these binaural microphones. So they're basically like earbuds that you put in your ears, and then you sit in front of your studio, and it captures a binaural image of how your room sounds with your speakers. And then what you can do is put headphones over those microphones that are in your ears, and it'll do the exact same thing. It captures the profile of the headphones. They can actually recreate the exact sound of your studio in whatever headphones that you have. Spent a lot of time with it, and it sounds pretty remarkable. It's like 90 to 95% of my home studio sound. There's still a little bit of differences, but it's so small, I would feel really confident I could just take my headphones in that profile and mix music without having any issues on a laptop anywhere in the world. And if you work at a studio and you need to finish a mix like at your house, you can capture the profile of that studio and bring it with you anywhere. So it's really, really good for anybody who has like time limitations on mixing, or let's say you can only really mix at night. You have a family, you don't want to wake up your kids. You can just make a profile, throw your headphones on, and you can mix whenever you need to then. And it sounds just like your room. So the Virtual Monitoring Pro is only useful if you're trying to capture the sound of your studio or another studio. Otherwise, I just recommend going with Sound ID reference, because EQ correcting your headphones actually does help improve your mix translation, in my opinion. And also, especially if you have studio monitors in a room, you definitely want to correct those as well. So make sure you get the one for speakers and headphones in that case. Definitely the biggest bang for your buck here is going to be doing stuff to make you a better mixer and a better producer. So that's going to be through coursework. So definitely go and check out the Edit Like a Pro course. That's 50% off. And if you're releasing music this year or plan to in the near future, especially if it's rock or metal, you definitely want to check out the Complete Home Studio Mastering course as well. That's on sale for 50% off right now for Black Friday. Those two courses together are really going to make a huge difference to the quality of your music. If you're having trouble with depth or connecting the different instruments together, like vocals, guitars, bass, things like that, drums even, check out Clarity Delay. It's designed to make your workflow super easy, and it sounds massive. 30-day money-back guarantee on that. Synchroarts has those really awesome vocal alignment tools that are all on sale right now. And the fact that you can both time and tune tracks that quickly, literally like 3 clicks, is unbelievable. If you're mixing on headphones or studio monitors and you aren't currently tuning your room with some sort of room correction software, go and check out Synchroarts. I think they have the easiest to use software. They're one of the original home studio room correction software people. And at 50% off, it's kind of a no-brainer. Soundtoys has good deals going on right now. Bogren Digial obviously has killer stuff, super cheap right now. And don't forget about Sound Gym, because that's where you're actually going to be able to learn how to hear and identify frequencies, compression, artifacts, all that stuff. And they have it built into games that make it actually kind of fun to do. Once you develop your ear, your mixing skills are going to be so much faster. So let me know what you thought of my top Black Friday home studio choices this year. Are there any that I mentioned that you're interested in picking up? Let me know below. Also, if I missed some insane deal on a plugin or software that you think is really a game changer, be sure to drop that below as well. If you need suggestions on random gear for your home studio that I recommend, that's based on scientific evidence, not just a bunch of marketing mumbo jumbo, I have a home studio gear guide that you can pick up in the description as well. My name is Bobby Balo. I'm the mixing and mastering engineer at Raytop Productions. I'll see you in the next video. Happy shopping!